Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our lead story, the Jewish people are now preparing for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which is the holiest day on the annual Hebrew calendar. Worshippers mark the occasion with a 25-hour fast and by praying for forgiveness of wrongdoing over the previous year. Jews repent during the week and a half leading up to Yom Kippur and request absolution from others so that by the Day of Atonement they will be humbled enough to seek forgiveness from God. This period, known as the 10 Days of Repentance, began with the celebration of the Rosh Hashanah New Year.
In his annual greeting to the public at the start of the new year, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed that the Jewish nation will continue to serve as a beacon of light and freedom in a dark and repressive region. He asked that the faithful the world over remain hopeful in the pursuit of justice and truth, which he said is the story of the State of Israel. After mentioning that Rosh Hashanah fell just days after the passing of Shimon Peres, Netanyahu said that he believes Israel's 9th president would want us all to celebrate by looking back with pride and forward with hope, and then he gave his own promise that Israel will continue working toward peace.
As is tradition at the start of the new Jewish year, Israel's Central Bureau of Statistics released the national population figures. There are now a little more than 8.5 million citizens in the country. That's 172,000 people more than the same time last year, reflecting a population growth of nearly 2%. 189,000 babies were born, and 25,000 people immigrated to the Jewish state over the past 12 months. 46,000 people passed away. Jews make up about 3/4 of Israel's population, at 6.4 million residents, while 1/5 are Arab citizens, who number about 1.8 million. When taking a look according to religious observance, the Jewish population rose by 1.9%. The Muslim population is up by 2.4%, and the Christian community increased by 1.5%.
World leaders flew to Israel for the state funeral of Shimon Peres. The late Israeli president had worked with 10 different White House administrations over his nearly 70-year career and was eulogized by U.S. President Barack Obama as well as former President Bill Clinton. Other dignitaries and heads of state from 75 countries included Britain's Prince Charles and former Prime Ministers David Cameron and Tony Blair. French President François Hollande, European Council President Donald Tusk, and EU Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini also came to the service. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu made a special gesture by allowing Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to come and greeted his contentious adversary with a handshake. Shimon Peres was laid to rest at Israel's Mount Herzl National Cemetery in the Great Leaders of the Country section between former Prime Ministers Yitzhak Rabin and Yitzhak Shamir.
Before coming to Israel, President Obama ordered U.S. flags on all federal grounds to be flown at half-staff in tribute to the late Israeli statesman. Sadly, however, that sign of respect was somewhat besmirched after the funeral when the White House issued a retraction for having listed Jerusalem as part of Israel. The mix-up was made in an official transcript of Obama's eulogy that stated the funeral was held at Israel's National Cemetery in Jerusalem. Within 24 hours, the White House sent out a revised text, simply listing Jerusalem alone as the location and deleting Israel. The city has been the capital of the Jewish people for 3,000 years and the modern state of Israel since 1948. Because the Palestinians claim the eastern side as the capital of their future state, Washington refuses to recognize any entity's sovereignty over Jerusalem until its status has been resolved by Israelis and Palestinians through negotiations.
While the rest of the world mourned Peres' passing, Palestinian residents of Gaza burned his photograph, along with pictures of U.S. President Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Rabid demonstrators gathered on the streets of Gaza City just after Muslim prayers, the same day as the funeral, where they shouted "Death to Israel" and "Death to the United States." They also condemned Mahmoud Abbas' attendance at the service for Shimon Peres, who was awarded a Nobel Prize for his peace efforts with the Palestinians back in the 1990s.
The Israeli army imposed a full closure on the entrance by Palestinians into the country for the duration of the Jewish holy days as a preventive measure against Islamist terrorist attacks. Exceptions will be made for humanitarian cases, in addition to various professional groups such as doctors, medical personnel, and NGO workers who are granted special permission to cross into Israel. The security measure was taken to ensure the safety of the Israeli public during the holidays, when there has traditionally been an escalation of Arab violence. It was exactly a year ago that the current wave of unrest erupted, claiming the lives of 35 Israelis and 4 foreign nationals, including 2 Americans.
In other regional news, thousands of demonstrators staged a rally in Amman against a $10 billion gas deal between Israel and Jordan. The recently signed agreement would see the Jewish state supply 1.6 trillion feet of the precious resource. That would trim at least $600 million a year off the Hashemite Kingdom's energy bill. A social media campaign called for Jordanians to turn off their lights for an hour in protest, and many uploaded statements that they'd rather sit in the dark than make an agreement with Israel. Despite the 1994 peace treaty between the two countries, relations haven't always been good, particularly amid rising Islamist fundamentalism in the Arab kingdom.
Iran just marked the anniversary of the 1980 invasion by Iraq. The hardline Islamic Republic showcased rockets, warplanes, tanks, and marching troops at a parade in Tehran. A new missile with multiple warheads was displayed, with a sign plastered across the truck transporting it. The word Israel was printed alongside claims that Tehran would destroy the cities of Tel Aviv and Haifa if the Zionist regime made even one false move. In addition, the exhibit of military might included maritime and air exercises. Meanwhile, despite Tehran's nuclear deal with the Obama White House, the head of the Islamic Republic's armed forces called the U.S. administration criminals for the recent signing of a defense package with Jerusalem. And amid heightened tensions with U.S. naval forces in the Persian Gulf, he warned the Americans not to meddle in Iranian activities in the strategic waterway.
Back here at home, just as is done every year ahead of the Jewish High Holy Days, the chief rabbi of the Western Wall and a team of workers respectfully collected hundreds of thousands of messages left for God. Some are actual letters sent through the mail by Christians and Jews and delivered to Judaism's holiest site by the Israeli Postal Service. The wall is part of the perimeter around the complex where both biblical temples once stood. Those fortunate enough to make personal visits placed their written prayers between the ancient stones themselves. The precious correspondence is removed every 12 months for burial on holy ground at the Mount of Olives for all of eternity. After all, the forwarding of the world's messages to God is considered to be a local delivery here in Israel to an address that has never changed for thousands of years. And that concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here on a beautiful sunny day in Jerusalem on our rooftop studio. My guest today is Roy Kendall. He's the founding director of School of Worship. Roy, thank you for being on the show.
It's good to be here.
Roy, tell our viewers a little about what is the School of Worship?
Well, the School of Worship is something we started after we moved here in 1990 and began to realize that really a lot of things over the years have changed in this land, of course, and the people of Israel, as well as the people of the nations of the world, really needed to, our goal is to have something to combine together to find some common ground between Jewish and Christian worship, and to understand that the God of Israel is real. And of course, before we started the school, the whole realization of who God is and His reality right here in this land, and He needs to be worshipped.
You know, I speak in churches all over the world, and I see more and more songs about Israel, the people of Israel, are being integrated into the actual church services. Why are churches moving in that direction, starting to sing and praise about Israel more?
Because me and my wife go there and teach them. No, I'm just kidding. We did just come off of a tour for 11,000 miles, 13 states, and quite a few churches. But yeah, it's something I think through the Feast of Tabernacles celebration that started way back in the late 70s, early 80s, and more people began to connect deeper roots into the Bible through the Hebraic roots of Christianity. And I think God Himself had something to do with it, but it's just because they feel a deeper connection And it really ties in beautifully with the God of Israel being the God who proves himself that's real and needs to be worshipped.
You know, Christians and Jews are commanded to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Right. Is that something that's playing into the prayer at churches on Sundays? Is that something that the pastors are taking up, or is it more of a personal thing that people do in the mornings when they wake up or something like that?
I would say it begins with the pastors. That's why we have a real heart. Our school, in fact, reaches out to pastors, worship leaders, and people, Jewish realm as well as Christian realm. Once they get it, as they say, as goes the leader, so goes the group. And so it begins with them, but then it begins to sink deep down into, it resonates with people. Like you said, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Genesis 12:3, I'll bless those who bless Israel, I'll curse those who curse Israel. So it just goes all the way deep.
You know, you've been here for over a quarter of a century now. How important is it for people and their prayer and their connection for God to actually come and visit the land of Israel?
I tell everybody, in fact my wife Mary, as you know very well, says that before you come to Israel, the Bible is like black and white, and then when you come to Israel and you see it for yourself, all the places and the stories of the Bible become living color. So if people can come, they can come and see what I call God's center stage. Cover to cover in the Bible, talks about Israel and the people of Israel. You see it for yourself and you see what God is doing, prophecy fulfilled. Where else do you have that? And people see prophecy fulfilled before their very eyes. And so that's why it's important.
You know, we're seeing a lot of people coming from the music industry as well to Israel to visit for the first time. Do you think that this will cross over from the praise and worship we see in churches to mainstream music?
I think it's already happening to a degree. Every once in a while I'll turn the radio on and I'll hear stuff, and I'm pleasantly surprised to hear that references like that are coming. Of course, I guess as you would know, even in Israeli music, Israeli mainstream music, of course, definitely you see it, but more and more just across the board.
You know, there's the International Day of Prayer for the Peace of Jerusalem. How important is that to bringing Jews and Christians together in prayer and worship?
I think it's one of the key things that are happening. There's a number of things that are happening. It's such a huge movement. There's not one person or one group even orchestrating it anymore. It's just splintered off into so many, but that's definitely one of them. People around the world, even through these satellite channels as well as others, that are beginning to get the message. Again, I think because God's involved in it, it's spreading in a way like nothing else man-made could ever do.
You've got to witness over the last 26 years the progression of cooperation between Jews and Christians. What do you think the future of that cooperation is?
Just more and more and more. To me, what we feel that our purpose here, like I said, Jewish people as well as Christian people, we don't have any other agenda other than realizing that the God of Israel, who told things were going to happen before they happened, and they're happening. And he said, and when these things happen, you'll know that I am God. And so I think that it's just only going to get better and stronger. I think, of course, those who are seeking truth will be the ones that it will grow and grow and grow with. And then there are others that don't care so much about truth as they do about doing their own thing. You know, a lot of people want what I want when I want it, and I want the freedom to do anything I want. So those people aren't, but I think by and large, those that are looking for truth, it's just going to keep growing and growing.
Roy, there are literally tens of millions of people watching the show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
Well, the message I have is, I often say, if you don't believe in God, just hide and watch. Watch that these things that were foretold, hundreds of things that were foretold in the Bible that are happening even today in our very lifetime, before our very eyes, are coming to pass. And so the message is, just keep watching. Israel's in the news all the time. And once you begin to realize and it begins to settle in your heart that He is real, then the natural thing is that you want to worship Him and get to know who He is. And that's what true praise and worship is all about. Not just a song, not just movement or activity, but what's going on in your heart.
Thank you, Roy, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, Return to Zion with Karen Hayasod.
Shalom and welcome to the Return to Zion with Keren HaYesod. I'm Eliezer Moody Sandberg, World Chairman of Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Today, you will witness the fulfillment of biblical prophecy through the gathering of the exiles. God bless you from Jerusalem.
Me and my family always prayed to come to Israel because it's a home, it's our home. 10 months ago, I made Aliyah with my sister. We are living together in Haifa. I'm worrying about my family because the situation in Ukraine now really terrible.
The past decade and a half has witnessed a frightening upsurge of worldwide anti-Semitism, unparalleled since the 1930s. Across Europe, incitement, desecration of Jewish institutions, attacks on Jewish property, and acts of terror, including murder, are striking fear into Jewish communities. From London to Berlin, Brussels to Copenhagen, Jews are being harassed, assaulted, and murdered. The situation is particularly intolerable in France and in Ukraine. In France, violent crimes against Jews have become commonplace.
Avec la multiplication des actes antisémites en France, donc déjà j'ai peur pour moi, mais j'ai aussi peur pour ma famille, pour ma femme, pour mes enfants plus tard.
In eastern Ukraine, over 1 million people have been displaced. In the escalating chaos and lawlessness, Jews have once again become scapegoats, with many anti-Semitic incidents reported.
When I was in school, my classmates told me that, oh, you're Jewish, it's not normal in Ukraine, why you are Jewish? It was very hard for me to speak with them, to describe every time what I do in Ukraine and why I'm Jewish.
I will give to you and your descendants after you the land of your sojourning, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession. But Israel has always been the homeland of the Jewish people. Throughout their 2,000-year exile, the Jews prayed daily to return to the land of Israel. In 1917, Great Britain issued the Balfour Declaration. In 1920, Keren HaYesod was established to raise funds for this purpose. Since the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, Keren HaYesod has helped bring 3.5 million olim to Israel from the four corners of the earth.
This is Bible prophecy come into fulfillment. It's not just my heart, but I can feel the heart of Abba Father. Abba Father in heaven is so pleased to see his children who are scattered all around the globe is coming back home.
From India to Africa to Europe, record-breaking numbers of Jews are eager to come home. Aliyah rose dramatically in the past year, hitting a 10-year high, despite the security threats that face Israel. Keren HaYesod operates in 45 countries throughout the world. The Keren HaYesod law, passed by the Knesset in January 1956, grants the organization a unique fundraising status. In close coordination with the government and the Jewish Agency for Israel, and in partnership with the global Jewish community and Friends of Israel, Keren HaYesod promotes Aliyah and other national priorities. We need you, dear friends, to be our partners in this noble mission of helping the people of Israel return home before the window of opportunity slams shut and live safely in its secured homeland. Keren HaYesod, with your generous assistance, has redoubled its efforts to facilitate every Jew who wishes to fulfill the biblical prophecy. Friends of Israel, the Holy Land and its people needs you now. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four quarters of the earth.
Come join Keren HaYesod in fulfilling biblical prophecy. Let's bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
grieve today for the passing of our dear and beloved Shimon Peres. Shimon devoted his life to our nation and to the pursuit of peace. He set his gaze on the future. He did so much to protect our people. He worked to his last days for peace and a better future for all. As Israel's president, Shimon did so much to unite the nation, and the nation loved him for it. Few people contributed as much to our people and to our state. I first met Shimon 40 years ago at the gravesite of my brother Yoni, who fell leading his men to rescue our hostages in Entebbe, in Uganda. I'll never forget the warmth Shimon showed me, my brother, and my parents in our great moment of grief. Just a few days ago at the UN, I wished Shimon a speedy recovery from the hearts of all Israelis and so many around the world. We all prayed that Shimon, with his unique strength, his unique vigor, would somehow come out of this, would somehow come back to us. To my deep sorrow, this prayer was not answered. Now Shimon Peres has departed from us, but he will never depart from our hearts and from our memories. His name will be forever engraved in the story of the rebirth of the Jewish people as one of our great leaders, as one of the founding fathers of the State of Israel.
Lift up your eyes and look around. All your children gather and come to you. The biblical prophecy is unfolding right before our very eyes. The people of Israel are returning to the Promised Land after 2,000 years of exile. But millions of Jews are still longing to come home. Anti-Semitism threatens many of the Jews. We must rescue them before the window of opportunity slams shut. Bless Israel by supporting Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Together, we can fulfill the prophecy of the Bible.
Let us bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ Report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
We love the people of Israel, and we want to show that love through social projects that help build a stronger Israel. We're passionate about offering life-changing opportunities for the disadvantaged, youth at risk, new immigrants, and minorities that help them step into a brighter future. We desire to make a difference throughout the mosaic that is Israeli society. We call this ICEJ Aid.
Christians come to help the Jewish people. It's a dream, you know? How could it be? The Christian people come to help the Jewish people, the state of Israel. For me, it's really unimaginable.
ICJ Aid helps families break out of the cycle of poverty through educational programs such as vocational training and mentoring towards employment, as well as offering practical aid where needed most. We also support Holocaust survivors in the last years of their life. The survivors enjoy emotional and physical support in an assisted living facility where their needs are met, and they have a community of loving staff and volunteers surrounding them.
אנחנו לעת זקנה, קשה לנו לתפקד בבית, וזה ארגון בעזרת השגרירות הנוצרית, שאני יודע שהם תומכים בנו ותומכים יפה.
Nina from Christian Embassy appeared in our life with a lot of food and what is much more important, with their love and with their willing to support.
Together with our Israeli friends, we are partnering with the God of Israel who promised through the prophet Jeremiah, "For I will set my eyes on them for good. I will bring them back to this land. I will build them and not tear them down. I will plant them and not uproot them."
Christians around the world They are our best friends. And Christians and Jews, we belong together.
Thank you, the Christian Embassy and Christian around the world, your support and partnership helping us to change life every day.
This aid wouldn't be possible without your help. Show the people of Israel God's love today and let her know that she's not alone. Become a partner by giving at icej.org/aid.
Experience the heart of Israel and find a renewed vision for your ministry and calling. Refresh your spirit with the Envision Pastors and Leaders Conference. Join us January 23rd through the 26th for an outpouring of knowledge and insight. Here's why you do not want to miss this conference.
I want to encourage every believer who loves God, loves the God of Israel, and loves Israel to consider being a part of Envision Conference. It's a time where you can hear from local believers, both Jewish believers and Arab, to talk about what God is doing in the land of Israel and the miracles that are happening now and the miracles to come. So would you consider being a part of this?
You'll have the opportunity to visit the Prime Minister's office and hear exclusive briefings from prominent Israeli Knesset members.
Well, if you've never been to Envision, you know there's so many blanks will be filled in your walk with God, and you'll get a new understanding, a new perspective of Israel and the purposes of God for our generation.
Honor the memory of lives lost in a special Holocaust remembrance ceremony at Yad Vashem.
One of the benefits of coming is the networking with like-minded individuals, a lot of young leaders in our UK gathering who are just fun to be with.
Hey, I was at Envision this year, and you should come. It will enhance your life, enhance your ministry, and enhance your call.
Visit envision.icej.org for more information.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.